Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering some Playdate news.
Some recent indie releases.
And being the fortnightly peanut butter to your jelly.
Thanks for listening. Let's get started. I was waiting for a Fortnite reference, not just that our
No,
show is fortnightly.
it's fortnightly. We
You
record
out
every two
nerded the
weeks.
Fortnite reference with a different type of Fortnite reference.
The original Fortnite, the
Yeah.
OG Fortnite reference.
Yeah,
Well, here we
right
are,
on.
guys. Back
Yeah,
again with our ever awkward intros. Um,
it's a staple.
speaking of which, what was that? I missed that.
You're
I'll
making it
listen
even
back.
more awkward. I said it's a
Maybe.
staple. Now you're
Right?
doubling down on that. You're out awkward our awkwarded intro.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. It's all
Okay.
good. Okay.
Well,
What do we got for in news, Ryan?
Well, in Heebity Boop News and Notes, we've got let's see, where should we start? There was so little news and notes. Why don't we start with the fact that Panic exhibited their work at PAX West, which I hear is a big deal. So there was a little recap video. And for those who were unable to attend PAX West, which is all of us here speaking on the microphones, Cable was present. He was there. Also, Arissa of Catalog fame was present, also showing off her, how you say, amigurumis, the little knitting. She likes to knit, made some characters out of the yarns. So that was fun to see. Nick Sutner, director of publishing at Panic, was there, as was Krista Mergen of official Playdate podcast fame. And so was a giant Playdate, a massive Playdate with I'm guessing it was an unplayable screen, but it was showing off games in a big way because this is a big show. And we were wondering last episode, all those Playdates are out of stock. All those pizza covers are out of stock. Are they really out of stock, or were they just hoarding them for PAX West? Well, it's official. They were hoarding them for PAX West. They were featuring both of them there. Come get your Playdate. Come get your pizza cover. Come get your pizza cover and put it in a pizza box and put that pizza box inside of a Playdate bag. There were all sorts of things that you could get there that were not available on the website. So, in addition to all that, we also had some Deveroonies in the house at the PAX West. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to mention those because they're not developers for Playdate games, but Time Flies developers were there,
Dead to us.
and Hurdling devs were there. Let's see. I missed Don's mild snark once again. I'm going to really have to actually listen to this episode. But there was also a video which shows you all the stuff I just talked about, and we'll link to that in the show notes, as well as some live streaming of the games. Which, did you guys know Panic had a Twitch account? I did not
I
know this.
didn't. No.
Yeah,
I don't think so, no.
we'll toss this in the show notes as well. But with that said, I hopped over there thinking, oh, well, maybe I can see what they streamed because doesn't Twitch archive stuff? I couldn't find it if it's
It
there.
depends on your settings, and that
Mhm.
can change per stream.
Come on, Panic, set up those settings. Anyway, that sounded like it was fun, and that's all I was able to glean, as the kids say, from the video. What do you guys think about the PAX West showing of Ye Old Panic?
Just real quick, their Twitch has one video from 4 years ago.
That's all I was able
That
to
is
see
that
too.
is archived.
I'm glad it's not just me.
So when you said a giant play date, we should probably talk a little bit about the size, because a giant play date could be like the size of an iPad. But this
True.
is giant as in, what is it, like 4 feet by 4 feet kind of giant?
It looked about that to me. Yeah, I'd say that's a good estimation.
It has like a TV inside of it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
thing's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Uh,
Heck of a convention. What do you call that? Gimmick? Something
draw.
to bring people over. Draw. That's a better word. Thank you, Don.
There's a really cool shot of their booth. Like they have a bunch of merch and whatnot.
Like a bunch of play dates and a bunch of pizza covers.
Playdates, pizza. They had stickers and shirts and whatnot. I don't know what else was in there, but it looked really lively. What'd you think, Nick?
I'd love to be able to open this link, which I'll do after the recording.
All right, we don't want to crash your potato computer, so let's move on to the fact that Panic released a games showcase. Now, this is going to be a real quick because none of these games were for the Playdate, but I thought I'd just mention it because it released real shortly after our last podcast. We'll toss a link into the show notes of today's episode if you're interested. Guys, any thoughts about that brief update?
Yeah, we might as well mention the games that were there. There's only a couple. Thank goodness you're here. Arco, Despelote, Herdling,
Despelote.
sorry. Herdling, Nour, and Time Flies. Nour or Nor? That just came out on Switch a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, evidently it's I forget too. Newer, and it's called Newer Play with Your Food. Nour.
Okay.
So you can get that on Switch, Steam, Epic, but not the Playdate. So on we go.
Heard it's pretty fun on PS5 and PC. The Switch is showing its age. I mean, it's fun there too, but if you have an option to play it somewhere else, do so. But I've been playing a lot of Arco. That's the one I was going to mention. Arco is awesome. Definitely going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year. It's like a Western game with a really deep storyline. And this is a Nick game, but there's also like kind of tactical turn-based combat, but all of your people move at the same time. Which is like another game, but I can't think of what other game it is. Anyway, highly recommend it. It's got a lot of charm. And also, if you make like certain decisions, the ghosts of your past will start haunting you as you go crazier and crazier. But so far, I'm not very crazy. So
Interesting. Don, sidebar. What's your beef with the Switch?
it's an 8-year-old Android tablet, dude. It can't hang with the PS5, which is where Play with Your Food also is.
Oh,
they're not comparable.
What's different on those experiences? I'm curious.
The hardware, and so the software can do fancier things.
More splatty foods.
Don, is this like Ogre Battle in the battles?
I haven't played Ogre Battle.
Okay.
No, I
Never
don't
mind. All
know.
right.
I don't know. Yeah, sorry. I will have to try and think throughout the entire show what game it is like. You're launching arrows up and you're moving. This guy moves over here while the other guy moves this direction, and then you come back and cross paths. And if you saw a video in 5 seconds, you would know what kind of game it is. But Arco,
alrighty,
recommended. But it's not on Playdate, so let's keep going. Oh, we skipped the news topic way at the top. Do we want to mention this?
Let's mention it.
Engadget, our favorite person over at Engadget, Cheyenne McDonald, posted the best Playdate games for 2024.
Making our list for us. Thank you, Cheyenne.
It's a little premature since it was posted in August, but it's nice. A lot of people are getting their Playdates this year. And a lot of these games did not actually come out in 2024. But again, a lot of people are getting their Playdates this year, so it's okay. It's a really good list. Obviously, there's no bad games on here, but this is like a greatest hits collection here. So check it out. And it's split into games that use the crank and games that don't use the crank, which I love to see. But you will see some of our favorites in here: The Keeper, Island, several Scenic Route software games, etc.
Realistic
and
fishing,
all different
got some Toad in there. Don's
all
favorite,
different
Under
genres.
the Castle.
Under the Castle, I like. It was Under the Tree that gave me fits.
Oh, the tree. Oh, I forget what you were under that you were not interested in.
I was under the table trying to play.
That's right.
That game. Anyway, cool collection. We will post
bunch
them
of
in
them.
the show notes. Yeah.
Bunch of them. Yeah. Alrighty. What else we got? Any other news and notes today? Oh, you want to talk about Destination Playdate, right?
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Destination Playdate, it is a YouTube channel run by Attack Slug, who has a very successful gaming channel, but then he has this offshoot, Destination Playdate, and he does Playdate game reviews like once a week or so. And so I thought it would be interesting to add a visual element to our podcast. We obviously can't see what we're talking about or the games we're talking about, but he covers a lot of recent games. So I'll be putting links in the show notes, and I'll just mention the games that he's reviewed since our last podcast. He did Ouroboros, Zero Zero Perfect Stop. Both are games that we talked about on our last episode. And he just released Hammett PI, which is a game we'll be talking about here in a few minutes. So most of his videos are anywhere from like 6 minutes to 20 minutes. Most are on the 6-minute side though. And he does some gameplay, but he also goes over the rules. If I'm struggling with a game, I usually watch his videos and he does a really good explanation of like, this is how this works. And here's a little strategy. So really great channel. Give him a like and subscribe or whatever the kids say, you know?
All right. Cool. Well, thank you, Sir Slug. Thank you, Don, for letting us know about that. And I think that's going to do it for the news and notes, which brings us to a boop in the inventory. Don, what you got for us this
Very
time?
polite, Boop.
I'm keeping it respectful. You know me.
Nick, how do you want to handle this?
Excellent question. I don't know.
Are you up to speed on these?
I am not.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had browsers open or anything, if you're good to go.
I do have a browser open, but none of
Ooh.
these tabs open.
You
Do you
must have upgraded your potato computer, Nick.
Do you want to handle the catalog stuff at the bottom then?
Let
that
me
doable?
scroll. Hold on.
Are we really doing this on air?
Yeah, we're doing this on air.
looks
So
good.
I really like Nick's I can cut this, Ryan. I'll cut this.
Please.
I really like the way Nick has done the in the inventory. But if
Okay.
you're not ready, I mean that's fine.
Oh, I'm ready.
I'm not
Okay.
upset about Nick getting involved here. It's this whole discussion. This is pre-podcast discussion, right? What are we
People
doing here?
want to see how the sausage is made.
I don't think they do.
Yeah. Hooves and
Hey,
all.
everybody. I've got some tabs open now.
All right, we're calling this episode Chicken Beaks and Cow Hooves.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That better be the title, by the way.
first one, yes. Hot Dog Simulator. First game on the list, dive into the darkness and uncover the truth with Hammett PI. And this is by J. Carpaggio. And it is $6 on itch. It is a detective game where you're tasked with several different types of gameplay elements: investigating, traveling and observing, and destroying or protecting. So it's it
Those
looks
seem like two
a-
very different things, Nick. Protecting and destroying.
yeah. Well, to destroy or protect.
Protecting hearts, destroying evidence.
Yeah, you can make the choice. I really like the GIFs here. I like the animations that they have. Relatively simple but very readable, and a lot of bounce. Some cool different gameplay elements from things like WarioWare. Reminds me of those ones where you have to find Frank.
Ring the bell. We mentioned WarioWare.
There we go. So that's Hammett PI. Are you all getting your trench coats on?
I mean, I already have mine on. Did you notice the shredding mini game here? The corporate tax evader mini game?
Is that a mini? Is it a mini game? Do you get to shred it?
Yeah, it shows a little crank and
Nice.
everything.
Oh, all right.
Sweet.
That is $6 in your pocket, Jay Carpaggio. So, Hammett PI. Did you all ever play? This is an aside, but did you all ever play a game called Deja Vu?
I know you're a big fan. No, I have not.
Mac Venture Games. Okay. All right. Well, if this recaptures part of that flavor, I'm excited. Next up, let's travel under the sea and let's play a game of Flappy Bird with squids. This game is called Squids, and it's made by Esden. It is free on it. No, it's not. It is name your own price.
Name your own price. There you go.
I wish that was more evident on itch. Oh,
that
there
could
it
mean
is.
free.
It's right at the top. Okay. I'm learning how to use itch all these years later. But Squids is, it looks like there might be multiple game types.
There's multiple squid types.
Oh, okay. That changes the
Yeah.
behavior of the
The squid.
squidding,
The
Yes.
flapping,
the movement,
underseas flapping. Yeah.
cephalopod, uh, forward momentum.
Mhm.
This looks really fun, and there are leaderboards for this as well.
Wait, there's what now?
You heard that right.
You got
I could be
Ryan.
all turned around on this game.
Ryan,
There's leader.
blooping sounds. One of the bullet points.
Are you're just playing with my emotions, right? Is that
No,
really a bullet
blooping
point?
sounds. It is. What's so special
Mhm.
about it?
It's the
Okay.
very last one. It's the takeaway.
Just
Blooping sounds.
downloaded. Looking forward to playing.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you,
Uh,
Esden, for making all of this happen.
You've made a sale, Esden, and that is Squids. It's name your own price on itch. Okay, next up. We all love aliens here, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's join a game that's set in the alien universe, apparently, or inspired by it. But this is called Xeno Escape, and you wake up alone in a spaceship infested with alien creatures, and you have to find an escape pod and survive. But most rooms are completely dark, so you have to rely on a flashlight and a movement sensor to move through the levels without being captured by the aliens. I'm putting captured in quotes. You think that's safe?
It probably won't just take you hostage or anything.
I'm not thinking so. All right.
No.
So Xeno Escape is made by Optimus DAG, and it is $1 on itch.
$1 for
Dollar.
this? This looks
Downloaded, haven't
great.
played.
Ah, very
This has
cool.
that.
Reminds me-
Oh, go ahead. We're gonna say the same thing. Go ahead.
does it remind you of the Luigi's Mansion mini game from
Yes, it does. Nintendo Land.
Nintendo Land?
Yes.
Well, that was one thing I was going to say, but I was trying to remember, wasn't there an Alien 3 arcade game that had a similar portion?
I don't remember the arcade game, but the Genesis game looked similar.
Okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
You're crawling around in ducks and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's Escape. Optimus DAG, $1, itch.io. And next up, let's travel to Taipan. This is I saw this posted in the Discord, and it immediately reminded me of a game I hadn't thought about in many years. And it turns out that maybe it did that on purpose. This is a game that's based on trade in the South China Seas in the late 1800s. The original version was written in BASIC by Art Canfill for the TRS-80 microcomputer. So I never had a TRS-80 or much experience with it at the time, but I think a version of this was ported to one of the personal computer types that I did have, because I seem to recall playing this a lot. So I saw this and was very excited to see this on Playdate. This is made by B. Withers, and it is free on itch.
Bill Withers is back and making games?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Man, I
Gone too
love his
soon.
music.
He also did Colossal Cave Adventure.
Yes, on the Playdate.
On the
Actually,
Playdate.
a number of games which we have highlighted on Indie Inventory. So congratulations on the new release, B. Withers. That, again, is Taipan, and it is free on itch.io. All right. We have... Is this itch? It is itch. We have next grid glyphs. Don, you like nonograms.
Love them.
I like nonograms. Ryan, are you a nonograms fan?
Still waiting to figure out what they are. One of these days I'll play one of those games that
my
Don tells me to
God.
play.
Ryan, this is a Ryan game. So you might want to check this one out. Grid glyphs.
I think I might have won a prize for how big that Don Sai was. That was a good one. Did you hear that?
So I almost started a thread on our Discord asking everyone to prod you to start Shovel Knight. This week, I was like, we got to get Ryan to start Shovel Knight. I didn't even. I thought you'd played an Nonogram at some point. I
Oh
thought
my
we had
God,
finally gotten over that bridge.
I'm lucky to
So now I'm
play
even
the
more
game of the
disappointed in
week
you.
this week, let alone Shovel Knight. Come on, man.
Dude, you would love these.
I believe you.
You'll get there.
It'll happen, Don. It'll happen.
Yeah, you'll get there. It's fine.
Nick will drive 10 states to come see me and place a nonogram
Please
game
do.
in my hand.
I'll put this in your hand.
This has griddlers. I don't know what griddlers are. I've been playing nonogram games for 30 years. I have no idea what a griddler is.
We're all excited to learn about griddlers, Don.
Not as knowledgeable as you thought you were, huh, Don?
No, it's new to me.
Nonogram professional don't even know what a griddler is. Come on.
So nonograms, Ryan, are also known as hanji, paint
And
by
griddlers
numbers,
and
cross
pick-a-picks and
griddlers, and pick-a-picks. Yeah. So do all of those strike any of your memory cells?
I don't know what any of those means.
Okay.
Paint
Well,
by
that's
number.
okay.
Wait, I know paint by number.
All right.
That's art stuff.
You're halfway there.
Okay. I'm with you.
This is paint by number, but you can paint in the wrong spaces. You can do that in real life too, of course, but
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
The game won't or in real life, it doesn't shake. And
what kind of
tell
an
you you've done
abstract
something
mess would
wrong.
you end up with
It's
if
a
you
negative
painted
space.
outside the numbers?
Yeah. Negative space artwork.
There we go.
Some Jackson Pollock stuff there.
It's like Spy versus Spy, but it's the black spy, not the white spy.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So grid glyphs, Ryan, is $3 on itch, and it's made by Counter Torque. Don, how far are you into this game already?
I definitely am picking this up. I have not tried it yet. I'm a little worried because the screen looks, very, very detailed and tiny, doesn't it?
I was going to say it looks pretty readable from the GIFs, but yeah, I'm curious about how it looks on device.
Those little numbers on the side, are those important? Because those do look
those
kind of
are
small.
Those are real
extremely
small.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's got a good title screen though. Give them that.
Also, it looks like there's different size puzzles. So the final screenshot there shows 15 by 15. You can see in the next to last, or actually it lists it right there, 5 by 5, 10 by 10, 15, 15, and 20 by 15. So it looks like there are some considerations for the screen size and placement in making the nonograms here. So that's pretty cool. 176 puzzles, $3, Counter Torque, grid glyphs, itch.io. All right.
Stick to the 5 by 5s, then you can read the numbers.
Ryan, do you
Nicholas.
remember Bathroom Escape?
I remember getting trapped in a bathroom once, wishing I could escape.
Well, that sounds like a story, but Bathroom Escape was an early pulp game, I think, for the Playdate. Is that right?
It came out like a month ago or 2 months ago.
Then it's not the game I'm thinking of. This is a sequel to Bathroom Escape, a game which I haven't played, as has been established just recently. And this is by NSG73, and it's Name Your Own Price on itch. And it's a little pulp adventure game. And it looks like you're trying to escape your living room.
So I played this and finished it. It took maybe 10, 15 minutes, but it is cute. It's very well made, competent, and whatnot. It's an escape room game. Yeah, it's cute.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 minutes, you say?
Yeah. It depends on how familiar you are with that type of puzzles, those type of puzzles. But
all right,
probably longer if you're not super familiar.
Okay.
No, Ryan, you'd be fine. Play it with your son. See if you can figure it out.
Game? Oh.
Yeah, the entire game you can see in these two screenshots. That's the entire game.
Okay. Yeah. Downloaded.
Cool. Recommended.
Okay. So that's all we've got for itch this week, but there are some major releases on catalog as well. So are you all ready to move over to Panic Land?
I'm ready for Panic Land.
And
You can
hope
pull
in the
yourself
catalog.
away from gridlers.net. Check out top release here. Let's see. This is Garbage Scow Captain by Scenic Route Software. I
Yes.
cannot. There we go. I couldn't get the link to open. Yeah, it's the latest release from one of our favorite devs, Scenic Route Software, and you were recently an Elite Starfighter pilot, but on your last mission, everything that could go wrong went wrong. So you've been demoted to Garbage Scow Captain, and now you got to fly along, getting trash out of the hyperspace lanes in an unarmed garbage scow. So you have no bullets, no guns, or anything like that. All you have are like these thrusters that can blow trash out of the way, and you have a shield that you can pop up now and then. And so you're flying along, moving trash around, and then every once in a while, an alien will come in and shoot at you, and so you got to dodge their bullets. And then sometimes a nebula orca, which is a giant space whale, will like fly past and try and break everything in its path, including you. So it's pretty fun. It is very weird. Have you guys tried this yet?
Not
I've
yet.
not. No. I'm just trying to figure out how in the world he keeps making so many games.
I don't know.
Scenic Route, what in the world? I think he's working on, uh Naughty Snow Mystery.
Whiteout or something?
Yeah, Wipeout. And then I think he's working on another thing, and he plops this out that how does he work on so many games at once?
I
I'm
don't know.
very impressed.
Well, I wouldn't say plop out. That
No.
Isn't that how it works?
indicates a lack of care, Ryan. And Scenic
I-
Route Software, all of their games are super polished.
Yes, super
And
polished. Agreed.
This game,
I was being a silly goose, but
we all heard
okay.
those honks, Ryan. But this game reminds me if Roger Wilco from Space Quest was competent.
Okay.
This looks great. So downloaded, haven't played yet, but I'm excited to give it a go. I was excited to see it appear on catalog today.
Just to clarify, this is not a point and click adventure. If you're
No,
thinking
no.
because of that
No.
Space Quest reference that Nick made,
That's the only reference point I have for anything.
No, this is an action game, and I only play a few rounds because my thumb gets sore. Like it's why I said a second ago, it's weird because you're constantly pushing the opposite of where you want to go. You're thrusting away from the trash, so you have to kind of get close to the trash and then push away. So it's like you're anti-shooting the trash. It's an unusual control scheme, but it
So
works.
Anti-shooter.
does it just work on the up and down arrows on the D-pad, or can you switch it to like an A and B?
I don't think you can switch to A and B because B is your shields and A has a little like forward thruster. So you can kind of bunch up the trash if you're using your forward thruster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can kind of see it in the bottom GIF. You push a alien into another alien and it explodes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're getting points for tossing that garbage outside those dotty lines. Is that right?
Yes. Those are the lanes, the space lanes.
Tell me there's
Hyperlanes.
leaderboards. There's
There
leaderboards.
are.
Hey, there you are. Number 3. Oh, Skeenick, you're number 1. Is that even legal? You're the
Look at
dev.
that. I don't know how he got that score. That's ridiculous.
That's nuts.
Look
Looks
at that
like there's-
season pilot score. Only one score on the season pilot.
Ooh,
Scoreboard.
Ledbetter bringing up the 8th place there. Looks like that's attainable.
Mhm.
Seasoned
That's on
pilot.
novice, but that season pilot there.
Yeah. How'd you get that
Those
ranking?
are some big britches. I don't know. I'm the only one who finished the level today, I guess. Nobody else
Is
has
it-
finished. You have to finish it. You have to finish the stage to enter a score.
Oh, there's a
Well-
daily challenge. Interesting. No scores yet for that. Looks like you got to go get on that challenge, Don.
It's tough. Daily challenges are tough.
Oh, attack slug's on there.
Congratulations
Look at that. We just
on
talked about ye old slug.
yeah.
Very cool.
Well, Don, congratulations on your promotion to
Thank you.
season pilot.
Thank
And this is Garbage Scow Captain, Scenic Route Software, and it's $4 on catalog.
It's currently on sale for $4.
Ah,
Yes.
And with some wide open leaderboards. Let's
Mhm.
get on there, guys.
Hop on there. Okay, we need to accelerate our things. We took too leisurely, I think. So, next up by one more dot is Dig Dig, $2. It's a cranking game where you crank and dig and upgrade and We talked about this a few weeks ago, but it looks really cute. This also has leaderboards. It actually goes lower. Like I think the lower your score is like the clear time. The faster you hit the bottom of the mine, I guess. You hit the center of the earth or something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Oh, you repair the rocket. You're trying to find parts to repair your rocket. So the quicker you get out of there, the better. I don't know. It looks really cute. And so I have not played this, but I do want to try it. So again, Dig Dig by One More Dot.
Did we
Here's
say
a
that's only
question.
$2?
Only $2.
Only $2.
And it's by Sada Kitchen. Here's a question for you. So, reading the plot summary here, the pilot crash lands on a planet and is collecting coins from their mining operations here.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they giving these coins to? Does the economy rely on this planet entirely?
The Jawas strip the rocket immediately, and they have to
Right.
buy back the parts.
Okay. I'm more concerned about this economy that's fixated on people digging giant holes. That's all. Very interesting. But yeah, this looks.
You got to play to learn the lore of Dig Dig.
I'm very curious. I will say, with that description, I was assuming something a little more simple, and now I'm very intrigued. So that's Dig Dig by One More Dot, and it's $2.
So I'm very confused. It says it's made by One More Dot and it's developed by Sada Kitchen. So I don't know if that's the same person or if there's multiple people, but a couple different listings there.
Maybe One More Dot is a multinational conglomeration, and Sada
owned by Sada Kitchen.
Sada Kitchen is an offshoot under the umbrella of One More Dot.
Or perhaps they're the bigwig of One More Dot.
It's like Yum Foods and Taco Bell. Sada Kitchen's the Taco Bell here.
I don't know how they're going to take that. But anyway, do you guys recognize the developer of this next game?
Yeah, Rafael Calabro. I probably just butchered that, but that's Deke on our Discord.
Who also developed Test Flight.
Montpellier
Brothers Test Flight. There you go. Thank you. That I am a big fan of. Waiting for that catalog release. Hope that happens. But in the meantime, they've come out with Poker Magic. And it looks like you're about to join Caroline, a spirited yet somewhat absent-minded magician in training, and her trusty dove. It looks like it's sort of a match X number of doodads type of game. It says there's unique gameplay, a captivating blend of falling block game mechanics, and poker rules. Oh, okay, interesting. I get it. So there's an engaging story as well, a few save slots, some different languages. That's cool. Story, art, code, audio by Rafael, Japanese translation proofed by Ayuchi, and title screen doodles, Danse by Mylene. So there are some things for you to consider. It is only $6 and just recently released on catalog.
Very nice. It just got an update, so I just updated it last night.
Hey.
$6. Two more games here. We got Frizzle by Unicorner Games. This is one of those Tamagotchi-ish type games, but it's also a tiny narrative horror game wrapped in the presentation of a virtual pet sim.
Interesting.
So maybe it's like Gremlins?
Things get scary.
I don't know, but the horror is subtle and mostly psychological, so no gore or jump scares. Yeah, this made me more interested now, knowing that it's got an ulterior motive to it. A dark secret, as they say here. So it's only $1 too, so that's also interesting.
Boy,
my wallet is interested. Yeah.
Cool. Welp, how about we talk about this next game named after a genre? What do you guys think?
Go for it.
Platformer. This one's made
we
by
talked
John.
About this when it came out on itch, I believe. So this is the catalog release.
Giving it that old Hello Playdate podcast bump, getting it up there to catalog. Very good. John Murray This looks like a heck of a platformer, unsurprisingly. But yeah, I guess it's 25 levels long. You can play at your own pace, meaning no level locks. You can choose how you want to play. Collect all those coins, beat all that clock, and try not to die for achievement stars. Um, Master each level and collect all the stars. Looks like a cool platformer game. You're a little dude. It's not a giant dude, but a little dude jumping around some bricks, getting those coins, beating that time, and no leaderboards. So, what do you guys think about platformer?
It's like a mix of Tintagel and Alina Temple. Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has some very Mario-esque feeling things to me, like those spinning fireballs. They're not fireballs here. It looks like they're, ninja stars or something, and a bunch of
Mm,
bricks, very Mario-esque, giving me Mario vibes there. Anyway,
cool.
looking fun. That's $5. Did I say that already? I'm old. How about we talk about those on sale games? Get me out of this mess. Looks like we have what? That's right. Garbage Scow Captain is on sale, even though it's new. We've also got Rota by Buck Young. That's $2 instead of 3. We have Orbo that is 40% off, formerly $5, now only 3. We have Steamed Roller by Chris Campbell, $1. My gracious, might need to check that out. Used to be 3. And Space Rat Miner down to 8 from $10. Slitherlink PD $4 instead of 5, and Halfway to Dawn only $3. That's 40% off from $5. Enjoy those sales, guys.
Indeed.
All right. Anything to add to the indie inventory? Didn't think so. Then that means we're on to pick of the week.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Nick.
It's Nick.
Welcome.
I wanted to bring to your attention this game called HANA, and it's made by King of Shibuya Limited, and it is $10 on catalog. So this is a game which is split into 2 main parts. The first part is a narrative adventure puzzle type game, and the second part is more of an action RPG type of experience. This game was made entirely in pulp, and it plays some tricks which we haven't really seen a lot of in other pulp games. There's some things which are done which are kind of unique to this game, and it has a very strong narrative focus. There's a lot more text in this game than there are in other types of pulp adventures that we normally experience on the Playdate. So, before I get way too deep into the weeds on gameplay and some of the unique things that this game does, I did want to talk a little bit about uh, the normal aspects here, graphics and sound and so forth. Um, Graphics I found in this game to be pretty legible and for the most part very readable. There were a couple of exceptions which we'll talk about in a little bit. And similarly, sound. I was very pleased with the soundtrack. Anything that uses the Playdate's synth capabilities, I'm always very interested to hear. And this game had a lot of unique music that was composed for it. So it was a joy to hear all the different pieces. But what did you all think? Ryan, did you play through this game?
Oh yeah, whole darn thing. Completed it. Really enjoyed my time with it. It was it's interesting to hear you say that you felt like there was a lot of text in this game. I felt like there was a ton of puzzles in this game, and I didn't feel like it was a text-heavy game. Personally, that was
Mhm.
my thoughts. but there were a lot of really clever puzzles in here that uh, did not frustrate me. I think there's this like delicate balancing act between supplying enough of a challenge to keep the player interested, but not so much of a challenge that you want to flip the Playdate and walk away. And I thought that there was just a perfect balance struck there, personally, for me. And it was really interesting how it was kind of like two games in one, how you sort of complete an area and then that leads to another alternate take on this game. I enjoyed both. Nick mentioned them both, and it sounds pretty different, but for me, it felt pretty integrated. Like it didn't feel
Mhm.
like a wildly different experience. I still felt like I was in the same world. Um, so that was my experience with it. Don, what did you think?
So I had played a bit of it a while back and enjoyed what I played, but I hadn't really sat down and played through the whole thing, and this was a good excuse to do so. And so I felt like I played a lot, and then would hit points that felt like good stopping points. I put it down and play a bit more here and there. Um, I did not finish it, and we'll go over that probably here in a bit. But I just want to give a heads up. I'm not going to spoil the story or anything, but I might talk about some of the gameplay mechanics. So if you want to go in totally blind, just heads up. But yeah, I agree with Nick. Like the graphics are legible. The animations actually I thought were pretty good.
Mm.
The way you know if you're like in crank mode or not in crank mode, for example, um, your character looks different, and the puzzles for the most part were, like Ryan said, challenging or like hit the right amount of challenge. When they were like too simple, it kind of threw me. Like I was doing something wrong if it was too easy to get through. Uh, like I thought was supposed to be more to it, but it was kind of also nice because there were so many puzzles. So it's like, okay, well, I just open this gate and just keep going kind of thing, even though I used a special technique to do so. So I appreciated that. I am kind of more on Nick's side where there was a enough dialogue and enough story where I kind of started losing what was going on. Like I understood most of it, I guess, but then it starts to get into some things where you're picking up a special kind of key. I'll put it that way, right before a major event happens. And I was like, I don't understand where this is going on. There's some alternate universe type things. I never have a good time. I'm never good at following that type of thing in any type of fiction. Um, and so I think that's where it lost me a little bit, but it didn't really harm the way I enjoyed the game. So
Can we talk about some of those mechanics that you alluded to? Because, well, spoiler alert, here it comes. Um, I really enjoyed the like teleportation mechanic where
yeah.
it
Mhm.
fast forwards you a couple squares and how that was integrated into the navigation of the rooms and the puzzle system that you had to solve in order to get from one place to another. I thought that was really brilliant. I hadn't seen that done before in Pulp, and maybe that's one of the things you were alluding to, Nick.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. There's a few different power-ups, especially in the second half as well, where there are just some unique tricks. But that jumping or shifting mechanic is very unique, and I thought it was very well integrated. I was
Mhm.
surprised at the complexity of some of the puzzles, but also the legibility. And by that I mean you can walk up to a puzzle and know exactly what you need to do, um, even if mechanically it's kind of odd. Like you have to make 5 jumps in a particular pattern in a room to get to whatever the goal is. But I found that very clever and well done, and that's a very difficult thing to do. So very impressive, I thought.
Yeah,
Um,
taking into account that new mechanic, uh, the level design was really great. Yeah,
mhm.
agreed. And I also liked how that teleportation mechanic was really precise. Like if you needed to jump one square, you can't do that. Like it's got to be two. There's no like
Mhm.
platforming mechanic where you can jump a little bit or a lot. there's one teleportation mechanic, and you got to use that the only way you can. So I thought that was really interesting because there was a spot or two where I'm like, oh, well, I'll just hop over here because I can hop. But wait a minute, it's blocked. I can't go 2 blocks. I can't go just 1 block, and it only allows me to go 2. Uh, yeah, really
It,
cool.
it was very deliberate though too, because it is sort of open world, but even where there's fires or something, it's grid based, and so the fires are in places where you can't jump into them. You're gonna jump right next to them because that's the way the puzzle works. I've been
Hmm.
playing Braid lately, and that
Mhm.
that teleport kind of reminded me of a mechanic that would fit in that type of game. And I was really impressed with it, especially going through the early parts of HANA where I'm like, how is this like how am I gonna get to that door? Like there's this doesn't make sense. What am I gonna have a flying suit or jetpack or something? And so once I got the teleport, I was like, oh man, that is so cool. Like this,
Yeah,
how is this gonna open up the game? And it
and it really
immediately like
does.
splits the game open. Yeah, it
Yep.
was really, really neat. And I liked another thing going back to the puzzles is I like that not every puzzle has to be exactly perfect. It shows
Hmm.
kind of one of them here where you're moving 5 blocks out of the way. You don't have to move all 5 blocks. You can move 1 block and your body fits there. You can just move one of the blocks and slide through. Not everything has to be cut and dry, black and white. It's felt more realistic like that. I hate how games are like, oh, you have to reach the front of the button and push the button. It's like you wouldn't do that. You would just go up next to it and hit the button or whatever. And this
Yeah,
is way more flexible with stuff like that.
Yeah, gives you a few ways to solve the same puzzle. Yeah.
Hmm.
highly agree. So one of the things graphically, which I did have a bit of a qualm with, and you mentioned Don, or was it Ryan, that the crank animation is very clear. It's unique in this game compared to most other games. It doesn't have I don't think it has the typical Playdate crank, animation that's happening in the corner.
Hmm.
Your character actually has a crank in their hand, and they rotate it around. Um, so it's very clear, even though your character is essentially um, like a stick figure type of pulp character. They're very expressive with the animations that they have. However, there were a couple of spots where things were not as clear to me as I thought they should be in retrospect. And I was curious if you all felt the same way. One of them was an area Don was talking about with keys where there are different entrances, uh, but they don't appear to be, or they didn't appear to me to be entrances. It's very obvious in retrospect, but at the time, I didn't even I thought they were walls,
Wow.
and so I spend a lot of time going through the same areas over and over again, thinking there must be a way out of here.
Hmm.
And then
You
I
know,
leaned up against a wall just to see what would happen, and it turned out to be a walkway. I was like, "Oh,
yes, I
okay."
do remember thinking that as I was making my way through the game, that there, in certain parts, there is not a distinction between edge of room, like wall, and doorway. They just look exactly the same. And that did kind of befuddle me for a minute. Now that you mention it, it's been a couple few days since I played that first part, but you're right. There were a few rooms that I remember thinking that now that you bring it up. Yeah. I wish there was some sort of alternate tile system that they use
Hmm.
to either sort of fade out on the edge to say like, oh, this continues off to this side of the screen or something to that effect. But yeah, that would be helpful to have a better visual representation of exit versus wall.
So what I thought was really interesting about that too is that in the Discord we were chatting about this game, and the dev uh, came in and showed some gifs of an area, and it was the area I was talking about just a moment ago. And in the gifs, that distinction was very clear. On device, it was less clear.
Huh.
Um,
How did it look
so
different and more clear on the
uh,
GIFs?
it was like the wall space that where the entrances were dithered in a way that made them appear different than um, other walls. So
For
it was
the doorways were dithered.
yeah,
Yeah,
for the
that would make
doorways. Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know what it was about how I was holding the Playdate or whatever, or my
Did
eyes
you
or
ask
what.
the dev if that's in game? Because I did not see um, faded or dithered doorways a lot of times either. Was that an update that maybe came out after we purchased the game?
No,
No.
no. I think that has always been there. It's just that my eyes did not comprehend it
Well,
for
your eyes
whatever
are
reason.
not the only eyes that
That's good to
failed to
hear
see that.
because I
It's
often
distinct
wonder.
in those gifs. Ryan,
Yeah,
you're right in that some areas you can't tell if it's a wall or an area or a walkway, basically.
hmm
mhm,
And that is a little frustrating. Where Nick's talking about, it's a little more obvious when you see it, I guess.
Okay.
But that's after he knows that it's a walkway.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one thing that I ran into. And as far as puzzle design, again, I was like so impressed with these different puzzles. It's very difficult um, from a player's perspective to get into the dev's head on games like this where you have to understand how they intend for you to solve it. And as Ryan mentioned,
Dawn.
or Don mentioned, there are multiple ways. It's kind of forgiving in how some of the puzzles are completed.
Yeah.
Um, there is one exception, and that, or maybe two exceptions, but one exception in particular is there's a big maze type area near the end of part one, and this is where Don ran into some issues.
Mhm.
Um, that that is it reminded me of older games, and so I was uh, very excited to be in that part
Me
because
too.
I I really enjoyed that kind of gameplay, and I kind of knew what I was in for once I got into it. But I wondered how you all would think about it, and it sounds, Ryan, like maybe you enjoyed that as well. But
I don't know that I
Don,
had the exact same reaction. I'm sorry, Don, did you
you
want to
so
start out here?
Well, I hate Lost Woods type areas, and I was really afraid it was that. And in a way, it is. A lot of areas look the same, but
Mhm.
the light at the end of the tunnel looks different. But there's a lot of tunnels. Even like playing Paper Mario recently, the new one that came out, there's a Lost Woods scenario, and I just straight up looked at the map online and was like, whatever, let me just find the pipes to get me out of here right away. I just do not enjoy that. I know Nick does. I hate it.
Mhm.
And I don't want to have to write stuff down. I want to find the puzzles, but I don't like being lost. Um, and so the problem with the part that Nick is talking about is it takes a while to get through. And then when I thought I like had finished it, um, if you step out of the game, then you have to start the whole thing over again from outside of the chamber or whatever. You have to do a little bit of stuff outside the chamber. And I did that 3 times because I had to do other stuff for the podcast on other apps. And I was just like running out of time, running out of time. And so I'm guessing, Nick, that's close to the second episode.
yeah, you're basically right in front of it.
Okay.
Um, so the second episode takes a turn, and it's quite different. Um, in that it's that action RPG experience. And so, Don, I think that would be really um, your kind of cup of tea.
Yeah.
So if you're able to revisit it at some point and
Yeah.
give that a go, you may really enjoy that portion. And it's directly past where you were, which is unfortunate. But
Okay. Sorry, Ryan,
the
did you have another comment you wanted to make about that area though?
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think I was going to say that I'm not sure I was exactly in the same boat as Nick. While I was excited, I did not see it and instantly recognize what was going on. It took me a minute to, well, maybe I should spoiler alert again and give people a second to pause their podcast players here, but it's essentially a clock face. And there were a number of references to moving into doors or 9 and 3 or what have you. And it took me a minute to understand that layout for the dungeon And then also there were some clues about how to solve different puzzles. Like it's at 6:45. And so I'm thinking, okay, in that outer room, but then you figure out, oh, okay, there's a couple clock wheels inside one of the rooms. So anyway, when I first started reading all these descriptions and clues of that area, I was a little bit lost, but just pushed through. And then the fog started to clear for me and, really had some of those aha moments. And I found it really enjoyable.
I was cranking
Yeah.
those clocks. I was cranking and cranking. I never noticed a difference. And that was a problem with the word crank a few times. Like I'm cranking, I don't know what's going on. And that was the worst one because I really didn't know. Eventually, seeing the GIF, I was like, oh, those are clocks. I knew what
Mhm.
time needed to happen or whatever, but I
Yeah.
just didn't understand the crank just didn't seem to do anything. It was frustrating. And
Mhm.
the crank only works one direction, not the other. And I was trying to go both directions. And
Really, I was able to crank them either way to go forward or backwards.
maybe in that puzzle you can, but in other puzzles you can't. And
Hmm.
so I was just got into the thing where I was only going one direction.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of spots where um, there's some rougher uh, areas that you may have a different kind of experience with, but I enjoyed the heck out of this game, and I really enjoyed the narrative as well. Um, the narrative took a little while to build for me. I was curious, you know, kind of what was going on, but for a little while. But once it started to click, I was invested. So um, I really enjoyed this game, and thank you both for giving it a shot here, playing it with me.
Yeah, thank you, Nick, for choosing this. This is another one I never would have played on my own. And I think if I'm being honest, probably dismissed it a little bit. It's a $10 pulp game, and I was like, oh, pshaw, please. And Nick, I'm glad this was a pick of the week because I think it's totally worth it. The $10 price tag is easily worth the price of admission here. I've played $10 Playdate games that I did not think were worth the price of admission. For my personal tastes, and I've voiced that on the podcast before, but this, go out and get it. There's a lot of game here, a lot to love, a lot to make your way through, a lot to make you think. And man, I just enjoyed really bashing my head in the wall for a couple minutes until figuring out a puzzle and then understanding the way through and feeling that sense of accomplishment. There was a lot to love here. So fantastic pick, Nick.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Um,
The price is definitely worth it, and it's a very competent game. I hope I didn't mean to make it sound like it wasn't. Um, just because I didn't like one mechanic in one area doesn't mean I didn't like it. And I would like to hear, if we have time, I would like to hear a little bit more about the gameplay in the second half. I looked on itch and I did purchase it there a year ago, I guess, but I don't have access to episode 2. That page is down now.
Hmm.
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a little spoiler alert here as well. I guess the whole thing is a spoiler alert, right? Um, but you get a sword, so your teleportation
Mhm.
ability is taken away um,
Mm.
through something that happens in the plot right after where you were. Um,
Sortification.
Sortification occurs, and you are exploring the overworld, and you are dealing with um, some things which appear in that first part of the game, but they're kind of alluded to uh, through some of the text. And speaking of the text, actually, I do have one more thing to say about this. So I mentioned there's a lot of text. The dev mentioned there's a lot of text in the Discord. Um, it's not a super text heavy game, but it can seem that way. And one of the things that I really appreciated about it, especially in that maze area, was that not all of the text is super important
Mm.
for what you're doing. So I don't know if you all are fans of Castlevania 2, which is uh, some people love it and some people don't. Um, one of the things I always loved about that game, though, was that there are a ton of untrustworthy people, be it through poor translation or design. It's it's interesting to me, and this game didn't have untrustworthy people per se, but there are some things that you didn't have to adhere to that somebody told you, potentially because there are multiple ways to resolve whatever puzzle that they're talking about. Um, so there's a few different ways you can interpret that, but it was part of the intriguing aspect of this game, where all these things that you come across that provide you information about the world, um, and you don't necessarily have to believe every piece of text that they say.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, part two was a lot more like top down sort of Zelda style combat. You know, you have a sword, you're killing beings, and making your way around this newly dystopian environment, or even more dystopian environment, I guess I should say. Um, so if you like those top-down battle-y type scenarios, I think you'll like this one.
Cool. Something I thought about a lot this week playing Arco, the game I mentioned earlier, is every piece of dialogue is one sentence. When you're talking to somebody, it's one sentence, one sentence, one sentence. Like that's the extent of it. And it really made me think about how a compelling story was told with so little dialogue. Whereas a lot of JRPGs, I'm just like jamming the X button, whatever, I don't care. It's like trying to get there because it's just so much. Whereas this captured my attention because it was so digestible. And I would agree with you that this is more on the digestible end. I mean, they're fairly short, a couple sentences maybe.
Yeah, usually I'm pretty sensitive to that text image balance, and I did not feel like it was cumbersome personally.
Cool.
Well, I think I think that's everything, and unless you all have some final thoughts, um, sounds like Ryan is saying go for it, pick up HANA. I would agree. Don,
Thumbs up.
what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's good. I think it's a great game, worth the price and a good adventure and really interesting puzzles. And I really don't have any complaints. Just because I wasn't into one type of gameplay for one small section, doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy the game. I really did.
Very good.
Cool.
So that is HANA. It's by King of Shibuya Limited, and it's $10 on catalog, and it's also available on itch.
All right. Well, speaking of games that Don thinks are good, Don, what are we playing next?
Oh, I chose a game. I mean, this is kind of a popular game, so maybe this isn't a super cool indie pick or anything, but Angel Pop. I've been looking for an excuse to put more time into Angel Pop. Staff note, it's one of the most satisfying and impressively fast bullet hells on the Playdate. This is made by NNN. So it's currently $6 on catalog. There'll be a link in the show notes. And just one quick note about this, the game caters its difficulty to your gameplay style. So if you're having a hard time, the difficulty it gets a little easier. If you're really kicking ass, it gets a little more difficult. So pretty cool idea.
Interesting.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Well, they can't all be hipster picks, so that's all right, Don. And I've never played this game, so I'm looking forward to the experience. It looks bonkers.
Cool. Well, you'll hear about it in 2 weeks. A fortnight.
A fortnight. Now you guys know what that means. Hey.
All right. Thank you all for listening. You can always email us, helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. All of our socials will be in the show notes. I've been thinking about trying to get better at posting on there, Instagram and whatnot, but we're always active on Discord, and you're welcome to join us there. Thank you everyone for joining us and listening and your input and whatnot. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next fortnight.